Every year in the United States, there are more than 800,000 cases of heart attack and over 600,000 cases of stroke, with the majority occurring in people over the age of 60. This means that every 40 seconds someone is struck by a stroke, and every 34 seconds a heart stops beating because of blocked blood flow. What is alarming is that more than half of them once believed they were eating healthy and living well enough. If there were a way to know exactly which foods and habits are quietly destroying the heart and brain, and which choices could significantly lower the risk of death, would you want to find out today? Ask yourself this: is removing the egg yolk actually taking away your chance to protect your arteries? Is that glass of red wine that is often praised really pushing your heartbeat into instability? Or could a common vegetable on your plate be building up the risk of stroke? The answers will unfold in this journey, where you will not only discover the hidden enemies in your daily meals, but also learn how to change them to extend your life. This is information that could mean the difference between life and death. Do not ignore it if you truly want to protect your heart and brain. Your heart has been working non-stop for decades, pumping blood, oxygen, and nutrients throughout your body. But after age 60, blood vessels begin to harden, the pressure required to pump blood increases, and small injuries accumulate with every meal, every night of sleep, and every seemingly harmless habit. That is why the same diet and lifestyle that felt normal at 30 can become a real threat at 60. The problem is not only in your genes, but more often in the fact that we do not fully understand how an aging body functions differently. The goal of this video is not simply to list good or bad foods. It is a roadmap to help you understand the mechanisms inside your body, why one type of food raises blood pressure, why a vegetable that seems safe can cause inflammation, and why a glass of wine that once seemed beneficial may turn into a burden for your cardiovascular system after 60. When you understand the root cause, you will have every reason to change, not because of empty advice, but because you will feel for yourself the life or death impact of each choice. Major misconceptions about cholesterol and eggs. For decades, eggs have been treated as the enemy of the heart simply because the yolk contains cholesterol. Millions of Americans were told to throw away the yolk, eat only the white, and replace eggs with cereal, white bread, or low-fat products. But this turned out to be one of the biggest mistakes in the history of nutrition, leading to serious consequences for cardiovascular health. In the 1960s, researcher Ansel Keys published the 7-country study claiming that dietary cholesterol and saturated fat directly raise blood cholesterol and cause heart disease. However, the original data actually came from 22 countries, and only 7 of them supported his theory. The rest, where people consumed plenty of fat but had very low rates of heart attack, were excluded. Despite the flaws, his findings became the foundation of U.S. dietary guidelines, urging the public to cut fat and eat more refined carbs. From that point, an entire generation developed a fear of eggs, avoided butter, and replaced them with sugary cereals. Today, science has proven that cholesterol in eggs does not raise blood cholesterol in most people. The body has a built-in regulation system. When you eat more cholesterol, the liver produces less, and when you eat less, the liver compensates by making more. Roughly 80% of the population is not significantly affected by dietary cholesterol from eggs, except for a small group with unique genetics. The real problem is not cholesterol from eggs, but sugar and refined carbs, which increase insulin and activate the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase, leading to the overproduction of harmful cholesterol inside the body. In other words, pastries, sodas, and white rice are the real culprits clogging arteries, not eggs. Far from being harmful, eggs are packed with nutrients that actually protect the heart. First is choline, an essential nutrient the body cannot produce in sufficient amounts. Choline plays a key role in metabolizing homocysteine, an amino acid that damages blood vessels when elevated. High homocysteine levels scratch and inflame the artery lining, making it easier for cholesterol to stick and form plaque.
Egg yolks are one of the richest natural sources of choline, helping to neutralize homocysteine, keep artery walls smooth, and reduce clot formation. Next are lutein and zeaxanthin, two powerful antioxidants abundant in egg yolks. They protect LDL cholesterol from oxidation, which is the critical step that turns LDL into the dangerous form that drives inflammation and plaque buildup. When LDL is not oxidized, the risk of atherosclerosis drops dramatically. Pasture-raised eggs also contain vitamin D and omega-3s, both of which reduce inflammation, stabilize plaque, and lower the chance of sudden rupture. Once plaque ruptures, blood clots form immediately, leading to a heart attack or stroke. By helping stabilize plaque, nutrients in eggs can make a life-or-death difference. Eggs are also an excellent source of protein. Starting the day with eggs keeps blood sugar stable, avoiding the glucose spikes and crashes that cereal or white bread often cause. This helps control hunger, reduce cravings, stabilize insulin, and lower the risk of insulin resistance. This is one of the most critical strategies for preventing obesity, a major risk factor for heart attack and stroke in Americans over 60. But not all cooking methods are equal. Boiled, steamed, or poached eggs are the best options because they preserve nutrients and avoid creating oxidized compounds from high heat. In contrast, frying eggs at high temperatures in industrial oils such as soybean or corn oil increases omega-6 intake and generates harmful oxidized byproducts. If you prefer fried eggs, cook them gently with olive oil, butter, or coconut oil to protect the yolk's fats and prevent cholesterol oxidation. Another important factor is the foods you pair with eggs. A breakfast of fried eggs with bacon, sausage, and white bread will spike blood pressure and blood sugar, creating a dangerous storm for the heart. But the same eggs paired with avocado, spinach, tomatoes, and olive oil provide anti-inflammatory benefits, potassium, antioxidants, and healthy fats that protect the arteries. The lesson is clear. Eggs are not only harmless, but can be a heart-protective superfood when eaten the right way. The real issue is not the egg itself, but how you prepare it and what foods you combine it with. After age 60, every small choice makes the difference between keeping arteries open or facing a sudden heart attack. Do not let outdated advice take away your chance to protect your own heart. Meat, the hidden driver of vascular inflammation. For years, Americans have been told that red meat is the main culprit behind heart attacks and strokes because of its cholesterol and saturated fat content. But a closer look at the science shows the issue is not that simple. When you compare a 100-gram serving of beef, pork, or chicken, the cholesterol and saturated fat levels are nearly the same. This proves that blaming red meat alone for cholesterol is a misunderstanding. The real danger lies in how modern meat is raised and processed. Industrial meat from concentrated animal feeding operations has become a major source of cardiovascular disease. These animals are confined in crowded conditions and fed primarily industrial grains, such as corn and soy, which are very high in omega-6 fats and deficient in omega-3s. As a result, their meat contains omega-6 to omega-3 ratios as high as 15:1 or even 20:1. In contrast, our ancestors consumed diets closer to a balanced 1:1 ratio. This imbalance is a key driver of chronic inflammation. Over time, ongoing inflammation damages the inner lining of arteries, allowing oxidized LDL cholesterol to stick, penetrate, and trigger plaque formation. This process is the foundation of sudden heart attacks and strokes. What is most concerning is that the most common meat on American tables today is industrial chicken. Many people believe chicken breast is the safest choice for the heart because it is low in fat. In reality, industrial chicken raised entirely on grain feed often has even higher omega-6 content than industrial beef. This makes factory-farmed chicken one of the most inflammatory meats available. Eating chicken breast every day does not protect the heart. It may actually raise the risk of atherosclerosis. Processed meats are even more dangerous. Sausages, bacon, deli meats, canned meats, and hot dogs all start with industrial meat that is already unbalanced in fats.
They are then loaded with salt, nitrates, nitrites, and other preservatives. High salt intake drives blood pressure sharply upward, the #1 risk factor for stroke. Nitrates and nitrites can convert into nitrosamines inside the body, which damage blood vessel linings, fuel inflammation, and increase cancer risk. In addition, fats oxidized during processing make LDL cholesterol more toxic, promoting arterial blockages. All these factors together create a serious cardiovascular threat. On the other hand, natural meat has an entirely different impact. Grass-fed beef contains far more omega-3s, with omega-6 to omega-3 ratios closer to 2:1 or 4:1. It also provides CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, a fatty acid with anti-inflammatory and vascular protective properties. Pork raised outdoors on a diverse diet has a healthier fat balance and is far less inflammatory than industrial pork. Likewise, pasture-raised chicken and wild-caught fish such as salmon, herring, and sardines are rich in omega-3s, which support heart health, reduce blood lipids, and help maintain stable heart rhythms. The lesson is clear. The problem is not eating meat itself, but what kind of meat and where it comes from. A serving of naturally raised beef or pork can provide essential protein, B vitamins, iron, and zinc without driving inflammation when consumed in moderation. But the same protein from industrial or processed meats fuels chronic inflammation, high blood pressure, and accelerates the risk of heart attack and stroke. For Americans over 60, the critical takeaway is to change meat selection habits. Prioritize grass-fed beef, pasture-raised pork, free-range chicken, and wild-caught fish whenever possible. If financial constraints are an issue, reduce processed meats to the lowest possible frequency and treat them as foods to avoid, not daily staples. When shopping, carefully read labels to steer clear of products high in salt, nitrates, and preservatives. And when eating out, be cautious with fast foods, as most are made with industrial meats and omega-6 rich oils.
Vegetables, the heroes and enemies on your plate. First, let's talk about the true heroes in the world of vegetables. Leafy greens such as spinach, kale, and bok choy are rich in vitamin K, antioxidants, and especially natural nitrates that improve endothelial function. Studies show that regular consumption of leafy greens lowers blood pressure, slows atherosclerosis, and increases blood flow to the heart and brain. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cabbage are high in sulforaphane, a compound that fights inflammation, neutralizes free radicals, and protects endothelial cells from damage. Fiber-rich vegetables such as celery, pumpkin, and carrots help control weight and lower bad cholesterol, limiting the buildup of plaque inside arteries. These vegetables form the natural shield that people over 60 should rely on daily. But not all vegetables are good for heart health. Some are high in oxalates, such as beets, spinach, and parsley, which in large amounts can raise the risk of kidney stones and interfere with calcium absorption, indirectly disrupting electrolyte balance and affecting heart rhythm. Starchy vegetables like potatoes and corn, when fried in industrial oils, raise blood sugar and contribute to chronic inflammation. Vegetables sprayed with pesticides, stored for long periods, or cooked with excessive salt and sodium-rich sauces lose their benefits and become a burden to the cardiovascular system. One of the most common misconceptions among older Americans is believing that pre-packaged salads are automatically healthy. In reality, many prepared salads come loaded with dressings high in sugar, salt, and trans fats. Instead of protecting the heart, they damage it, much like fast food does. Industrial pickles and pre-made pickled vegetables in supermarkets often contain extremely high sodium levels, which sharply raise blood pressure, put direct strain on the heart and blood vessel walls, and increase the risk of stroke. Proper preparation is the key to turning vegetables into real heroes. Eating clean, raw vegetables, lightly steaming, or quick boiling helps preserve vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Overcooking, deep frying, or stewing with heavy salt destroys most of the original benefits. For those over 60, pairing vegetables with extra virgin olive oil, avocado, or nuts enhances the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. A simple green salad with a spoonful of olive oil allows the body to fully utilize nutrients for heart protection. Tomatoes deserve special mention. They are rich in lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that lowers the risk of heart attack and helps regulate blood pressure. Cooking tomatoes with olive oil boosts lycopene absorption, creating a double effect against inflammation and arterial plaque. Onions and garlic also provide sulfur compounds that reduce blood clotting, lower cholesterol, and keep blood flowing smoothly, minimizing the formation of dangerous clots. The key point to remember is that vegetables cannot protect the heart if paired with harmful elements. A salad topped with fried chicken provides little benefit to arteries. Boiled vegetables covered in salty, sugary commercial sauces cancel out their advantages. Smart eating means knowing how to combine clean vegetables, prepare them properly, and eat in the right amounts to build a natural defense wall for the heart.
Sugar and sweet foods, the hidden killers in your kitchen. When it comes to the risk of heart attack and stroke, most people immediately think of cholesterol or saturated fat. But an equally dangerous, silent enemy is sugar and sweetened foods. The majority of Americans over 60 consume far more sugar than recommended without even realizing it. This does not only add weight, but also triggers a series of harmful biological reactions that damage the heart and blood vessels. Refined sugar, once absorbed, rapidly spikes blood glucose, forcing the pancreas to release large amounts of insulin. Repeated over many years, this cycle leads to insulin resistance, metabolic dysfunction, and type 2 diabetes. Diabetes is one of the most powerful risk factors for both heart attack and stroke. Constantly elevated glucose levels cause sugar molecules to attach to vessel walls, injuring the endothelium and accelerating plaque buildup. This is the very starting point of dangerous cardiovascular complications. Another serious consequence is that sugar raises triglycerides. High triglycerides make blood vessels less elastic, more prone to inflammation, and more likely to form blood clots. Studies show that people who consume more than 25% of their total daily calories from sugar face twice the risk of dying from heart disease compared to those who limit sugar. This is especially alarming because in the American diet, sugar is not only in candy or soda, but also hidden in sauces, white bread, breakfast cereals, and even low-fat foods. Sodas and energy drinks are another sweet killer. A single can of soda can contain up to 9 teaspoons of sugar, about 36 grams, nearly the maximum daily limit. Worse still, many processed foods are loaded with high fructose corn syrup. Once in the liver, fructose is quickly converted into fat, leading to fatty liver and widespread inflammation. Chronic inflammation sets the stage for atherosclerosis, one of the root causes of heart attack and stroke. That is why older Americans need to be especially cautious with packaged convenience foods, since most are heavily loaded with fructose. A common misconception is that switching from white sugar to honey or brown sugar is safer. In reality, biologically, they are still simple sugars and cause similar harm when consumed in excess. Honey may be used sparingly as a natural sweetener, but it cannot be considered a healthy replacement if the habit of eating sweet foods continues. The real issue is not the type of sugar, but the total amount consumed each day. The most effective way to control sugar is to focus on whole, natural foods. Choose fresh fruit instead of bottled juice, since whole fruit contains fiber that slows sugar absorption and reduces its impact on insulin. Replace refined grains with whole grains and eat more vegetables to maintain stable blood sugar. For people over 60, learning to read food labels is essential. Pay attention to added sugars and aim to keep total added sugar below 25 grams per day. The most important lesson is that sugar does not just cause weight gain or cavities. It is a silent killer that slowly destroys the cardiovascular system. Fats. Which ones kill, which ones protect the heart?
For decades, fat has been blamed as the primary cause of heart disease. Public health campaigns urged people to eat less fat, choose low-fat products, and avoid animal oils. But modern science shows the truth is far more complex. Not all fats are harmful, and knowing which types to avoid and which to include is the real key to protecting the heart after age 60. The most dangerous are trans fats. These are artificial fats created through the hydrogenation of vegetable oils to make them more stable and extend shelf life. They are commonly found in cookies, fried foods, fast food, and cheap margarine. Trans fats not only raise harmful LDL cholesterol, but also lower protective HDL cholesterol, causing severe blood vessel damage. Research shows that getting just 2% of daily calories from trans fats can increase the risk of heart attack by 23%. For older Americans, this is the one type of fat that must be eliminated completely. Next are saturated fats, found in animal fat, red meat, butter, and full-fat cheese. For years, they were labeled the #1 culprit behind heart disease. In reality, new evidence shows their effect depends on overall diet quality. Eating them alongside processed meats and fast food clearly increases risk. But consuming moderate amounts within a balanced diet that also includes vegetables, whole grains, and fatty fish is not as harmful as once thought. However, for adults over 50 who already have high blood pressure, diabetes, or elevated cholesterol, limiting saturated fats remains important to reduce atherosclerosis risk. On the other hand, some fats are true protectors of the heart. Monounsaturated fats, found in olive oil, avocados, almonds, and cashews, lower LDL cholesterol, raise HDL, and improve insulin sensitivity. In the well-known Mediterranean diet, olive oil is the central factor linked to lower rates of heart attack and stroke. Polyunsaturated fats, especially omega-3 fatty acids, are also essential. They reduce inflammation and help prevent dangerous blood clots. The best sources are fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, or plant sources like flaxseed and chia seeds. Clinical studies have shown that regular omega-3 intake can lower the risk of death from heart disease by 25 to 30%. This is a benefit no American over 60 should ignore. A common mistake is fearing fat so much that people cut it out completely, relying only on fat-free foods. In reality, many of these products are loaded with added sugar to preserve taste, which causes even greater harm. The body needs fat to absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K, and to maintain healthy nerve and brain function. Eliminating all fat weakens overall health, impairs memory, and damages the immune system. The critical message is this: not all fats are dangerous. It is smart choices that determine whether your heart is protected or attacked. High blood pressure and salt, the silent killer in your kitchen. On average, Americans consume about 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day, while the safe recommended level is only 1,500 to 2,300 milligrams. This means most people are taking in 1.5 to 2 times more salt than their bodies actually need. When sodium intake is excessive, the body retains more water, which increases blood volume and puts heavy pressure on artery walls. Over time, arteries stiffen, become prone to cracking, and develop plaque, paving the way for heart attack and stroke. The danger is made worse by the fact that most sodium does not come from the salt shaker at home, but is hidden in processed foods. Bread, canned soups, frozen pizza, deli meats, cheese, and fast food all carry massive amounts of sodium. A single sandwich that looks harmless can contain up to 1,000 milligrams of sodium, nearly half of the daily limit. High blood pressure not only strains the heart, but also damages the brain. Constant pressure against blood vessels increases the risk of rupture or blockage in the brain's small arteries. This is the very mechanism that leads to stroke. Studies show that controlling blood pressure can reduce stroke risk by up to 40% and heart attack risk by 25%. This means changing eating habits alone can be life-saving. The solution is not to eliminate salt completely, since the body still needs a small amount to maintain electrolyte balance and neuromuscular function. The key is to control intake and cut down hidden salt in the diet. First, develop the habit of reading nutrition labels. If a single serving provides more than 20% of the daily sodium value, avoid it. Second, replace salt with natural seasonings like garlic, pepper, lemon, or herbs instead of relying on sodium. Third, minimize fast foods, canned goods, and processed meats as much as possible. A simple yet powerful change is to cook more meals at home. When you prepare your own food, you control how much salt goes in. Instead of using direct salt, add flavor with olive oil, black pepper, herbs, or a splash of balsamic vinegar. Research has shown that reducing sodium intake by just 1,000 milligrams per day can lower systolic blood pressure by an average of 5 to 6 millimeters of mercury. That small reduction is enough to significantly cut the risk of heart attack and stroke in people over 60. Alcohol and the heart. The thin line between benefit and harm. For years, red wine has been praised as heart-friendly because it contains resveratrol and antioxidants. But the real picture is far more complex. For people over 60, any amount of alcohol can be either medicine or poison depending on how it is consumed. Some studies suggest that very small amounts of red wine, about 100 to 150 milliliters a day, can raise good HDL cholesterol and slightly reduce the risk of atherosclerosis. But the same drink, once it exceeds safe limits, quickly becomes a trigger for high blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, and ultimately heart attack or stroke. Alcohol silently raises blood pressure. Once inside the body, it stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, causing the heart to beat faster and blood vessels to constrict. Repeated often, this keeps blood pressure consistently elevated, straining artery walls and increasing the risk of clot formation. Alcohol also disrupts heart rhythm. Doctors have long described holiday heart syndrome, where otherwise healthy people develop atrial fibrillation or dangerous arrhythmias after a period of heavy drinking. Atrial fibrillation causes blood to pool in the heart chambers, easily forming clots that sharply increase the risk of stroke. Remember, your heart does not care whether you are drinking expensive red wine or cheap beer. To it, alcohol is still a toxin that causes oxidative stress and disrupts the body's balance. After age 60, every glass you raise is not just a moment of pleasure. It can be the piece that determines your cardiovascular future. After walking through this journey, the most important takeaway is clear. Heart attacks and strokes do not strike at random. They are the accumulated result of lifestyle, diet, and how we manage our health each day. The good news is that most heart attacks and strokes can be prevented if people over 60 begin applying proven medical principles. To make it easier to remember and practice, here is a simple but essential checklist.
What to eat daily to protect the heart. Prioritize fiber-rich, vitamin, and antioxidant-dense foods. Leafy greens, such as spinach and kale, improve vascular function. Fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel supply omega-3s that reduce inflammation and lower triglycerides. Extra virgin olive oil is a healthy fat substitute for butter. Nuts like walnuts and almonds help stabilize cholesterol. Berries, such as blueberries and strawberries, provide polyphenols that protect the endothelium. Whole grains like oats or barley help keep blood sugar stable. Foods to avoid. The danger lies not only in what you eat, but also in what you should avoid. Processed meats like sausages and bacon are high in salt and preservatives that raise blood pressure and inflame arteries. Deep-fried foods cooked in reused oils generate trans fats that destroy vessel walls. Refined sugar in pastries and sodas increase the risk of type 2 diabetes and atherosclerosis. Soft drinks and energy drinks packed with caffeine and sugar can trigger rapid heartbeat and raise blood pressure instantly. Every harmful food you eliminate reduces a hidden risk to your heart. How to balance omega-6 and omega-3. One major cause of chronic inflammation is the imbalance between omega-6 and omega-3 intake. Americans often consume far too much omega-6 from corn, soybean, and sunflower oils while lacking omega-3 from fish. The ideal ratio is 4:1 or lower, but the modern diet often reaches 20:1. To correct this, limit refined vegetable oils, replace them with olive or flaxseed oil, and increase fatty fish consumption to at least twice per week, or use fish oil supplements if needed. How to lower blood pressure through diet. High blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for heart attack and stroke. The DASH diet, dietary approaches to stop hypertension, has been proven effective in lowering blood pressure. It emphasizes more vegetables, fruits, whole grains, lean protein, and low-fat dairy, while reducing salt, sugar, and saturated fat. Keep sodium intake below 1,500 milligrams per day, about 1 teaspoon of salt. Season with herbs and spices instead of salt. Drink enough water, limit alcohol, and avoid excessive caffeine to help maintain stable blood pressure. Easy to remember do's and don'ts. Do's: eat leafy greens daily, use olive oil instead of industrial oils, eat fatty fish at least twice a week, stay hydrated, check blood pressure regularly, and exercise at least 30 minutes daily. Don'ts: avoid processed meats, limit refined sugar, skip energy drinks and sodas, do not eat too salty, never smoke, and limit alcohol. Your heart has carried you faithfully for more than half a century. Now it is time for you to actively protect it so you can live safely, strongly, and happily in the years ahead. Thank you for staying with this video today. If this knowledge has been helpful, please hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming videos on heart attack and stroke prevention. Each week, we will share practical, easy-to-apply medical guidance to help you protect your heart and live healthier after 50. Share this with friends and family because one small action today could save a life tomorrow.